So, starting off April strong with the designer Scrapbooks with K and Company by K. Stanley, a book that I have. I saw it in a antique thrift store kind of thing, and read it. It's obviously a short read because most of it's pictures, and they are quite beautiful, but they do have a certain look to them. They kind of sell to like craft stores and Hallmark and things. Apparently they're doing very well. I did get like a lot of ideas that I could use in my bullet journaling and the other crafts that I do. They are quite beautiful, but they are a certain style. There's not much to say about that. It is quite beautiful. If you do see it and you're like, ooh, I like pretty things, totally recommend getting that book. So there's that. I also read the Victoria magazine At Home with White book. I just want you to take a look at the cover here. I like that embossing. I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera, but it is there. Take my word for it. This is quite a beautiful book as well. I also got this from a thrift store. And it's quite beautiful. Obviously, must have been really hard to get these pictures because, you know, white on white is not the easiest thing to photograph. That's why a lot of these are like at a certain time of the day. You can see the light shining through the windows pretty well. And some of that may be trickery with editing software, but you know, it's really hard to get that. And it had some a lot of interesting points about like how popular white is and how it's, you know, it's not horrible if you decorate your houses with white. Like, don't be afraid of the color white. Use it as your, you know, for cooling down rooms because it throws the light back so it doesn't warm up very easily. And you can obviously warm up with colors that are like off-white or stuff like that. And even went so far as to talk about like, I guess I would call it China, but they had fancy words for it and how the Dutch came by it. Now the Dutch started making their own. They had the history of lace and cotton in it, which are primarily white. It also had instructions on how to take care of your items, which I, you know, it's, more than I thought was going to be in here. But obviously, the best thing about this are the photographs. Just stunning. Very beautiful book. I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. So I read The Haunting of Alma Fielding, True Ghost Story by Kate Summerscale, and it discusses a man named Nander Fodor and how he meets Alma Fielding. She claims there's a poltergeist, and they investigate it, and they think it's true. And Fodor is a, well, it says in the cover, a Hungarian ghost hunter for the International Institute for Psychical Research. But then they go through this, they like basically put her through so many tests, because by this time he had been going through a lot of mediums and psychic people who were frankly very cool tricks, but they were frauds. They weren't actually doing it. There was one lady who could pull flowers out of herself, and there were other people too, but yeah, she just moved the flowers through her clothes, and which is still pretty cool, I thought. But yeah, it's not what she was selling herself as. If she'd been a magician, it would have been fine. But they go through, and this poor lady has had a hell of a past, and not like too crazy, but she's in kind of a loveless marriage. She's lost 2 kids. One got really sick, one may have been a miscarriage. And her childhood, her mother favored her sister, and so they abused her that way. The only one nice to her in her family was her father. And she lost her father shortly before she lost the child that got sick, which was a son. And they both had the same disease. There's guilt there that somehow she transferred the disease to her child. And it's very British, you know, there's Big Ben right there. And it's just fascinating. Like, I'd heard about spiritualism, all that stuff. I didn't know it got this deep. That's pretty interesting to me. And it seems like there's a connection between these people who have these psychic abilities and all this stuff, and having poltergeist around after they've been through some kind of horrible trauma, such like a miscarriage or loss of a child. And also there seems to also be a connection from when they were children. They were abused back then, because her abuse by her mother wasn't the only thing that apparently happened. Apparently she was also abused in another way, but by the end of the book you're still not sure. The Fodor guy thinks that it is like that, and she can't remember because, you know, they block out the memories and stuff. And it's fascinating. It doesn't have a very good rating on Goodreads, but I think people went into it with less of an open mind. Because it, you know, you see the cover, go, oh wow, this sounds amazing, and then it's like, oh, it's all cockamamie. And so maybe people were like, no, I wanted a real ghost story. And the sad fact, children, is that the real horror is the living people around you. So yeah, it's but they did kind of have a happy ending for her. She lived with her family. Her husband and her got to live on a little idyllic hidden farm where they had ducks and stuff, and sounds like it was nice for her. And he went on and realized his treatment of her wasn't very good, and he actually becomes like a psychoanalyst, like a psychologist, a previous word. And yeah, it's fascinating. And of course, like, the whole time this is going on, there's like the background of England might enter the World War II, and they really didn't want to, and you had all these psychics saying like, oh yeah, there's not gonna be a war, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And so that kind of, like, once it started, it kind of made these people look foolish. And so it wasn't a thing people did anymore once they got back from the war, if they did. So yeah, I recommend it, but don't go into it thinking you're gonna, like, get The Conjuring or Amityville House out of it or anything. Just find a ghost story if you're looking for that. Or, you know, read The Exorcist, probably, which I haven't read. I should probably get to that. But anyway, pretty cool. I also won a Goodreads giveaway. It was a Kindle book, Innerworld, Poems and Illustrations. It won't stay on the cover for very long, but if you like poetry, I thought the poems were very good. She talks about some pretty heavy subject matter. She's a survivor of abuse in a relationship. Her family seemed nice. Unfortunately, I believe one of her family members got very sick, so she writes about poetry on that. And her illustrations are pretty, I thought they were very cool. Let me see if I can, hold on. So here's an example, just the one. I'm not gonna give away the farm here, but yeah, it's beautiful, it's mesmerizing, kind of, I don't want to say unsettling, that's not the feeling it's giving me, but it's like it's called Innerworld, so a lot of thoughts and whirlwind of thoughts and a whole galaxy of things, words, trying to wax poetic and I can't do it. But yeah, I thought it was very cool. Would recommend it, especially if you're into poetry, which apparently I'm going to be, because I want another book, and I should actually want quite a few books on my Kindle, and I don't use it very often, so I'm like having trouble with it, but I'll get used to it. But yeah, very cool. I enjoyed it. Yeah, totally recommend. So, I didn't read very much this month. I've been very ill with it's a mystery, so that's super fun. Yeah, I know this isn't accurate. I'm getting there. I think, yeah, my reading was pretty spotty through this month. I did enjoy quite a few of the books I read, so there's that. And of course, I'm going through all the books in my library, so I'm reading a bunch of kids' books too that I just happen to have. Yeah, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 books. Not very great record for April, but considering how much I've read total this year, not stressing. So next month is May. See how I do there, and hoping, since I've basically hit my target on the number of books, that I can double it to 100. But I'm not changing my Goodreads goal because I just kind of want to relax about it. So we'll see how that goes. And, thinking 6 months in, I will pretty up my reading journal because, you know, it's a little plain. And who doesn't like pretty things? And it'll be beachy themed, so it'll match what I got going on here. And yeah, I can't believe it's already May. But sorry I'm so tired. I'm still not feeling great. I'm behind on like everything. The May bullet journal setup is coming, so I apologize. But so that was my reading for this month, for April, and thank you for watching, and hope you have a wonderful day. And if you enjoy what you saw, please feel free to subscribe, and thank you. Have a wonderful day.